Welcome to IADS Retail Park, where retail giants evolve or go extinct. I'm Maya, and joining me today is Selvan to explore how the smartest retailers are completely rethinking what omnichannel really means. Quick reminder, this podcast uses AI clone voices created with human oversight to ensure quality and accuracy. You know, Selvan, I've been diving into this fascinating research from Robert Ruderkirk at Erasmus University, and it's got me questioning everything we thought we knew about omnichannel strategy. For the past decade, retailers have been obsessing over being everywhere at once. Every app, every platform, every conceivable way a customer might want to shop. But what if that entire approach has been backwards?
That's such an intriguing way to frame it, Maya. I think we've all watched retailers exhaust themselves trying to be present on every possible touchpoint. They're spreading resources thin, investing in capabilities that don't necessarily drive results, and frankly, many of them look overwhelmed by the complexity they've created. What's Ruderkirk's take on where the real problem lies?
He's making this compelling argument that the whole premise is flawed from the start. Omnichannel isn't about ubiquity, it's about strategic focus. The retailers who are actually winning aren't the ones offering every conceivable shopping journey, actively steering customers toward the journeys that create the most value for both sides. It's this fundamental shift from being reactive to being proactive about how customers experience your brand.
That makes so much sense when you think about customer behavior in the real world. People don't necessarily want unlimited options, they want the right options presented in a way that makes their lives easier. But I'm curious about how this plays out practically. How do you guide customer behavior without it feeling manipulative or heavy-handed?
That's the brilliant part of what he's uncovered through his research. When it's done well, customers don't feel pushed around at all. They feel supported. Take Holland and Barrett, for example. In the UK, they're promoting click and collect by emphasizing that it's free. But in the Netherlands, they're leading with the sustainability benefits of avoiding home delivery. Same service, completely different messaging based on what resonates with each market. The customer gets what they value, and the retailer gets better unit economics.
I love that example because it shows how understanding your customer base can actually improve their experience while improving your business outcomes. It's not about forcing people into channels they don't want. It's about making the beneficial choices more appealing. But where are most retailers sitting on this spectrum? I imagine many think they're already doing omnichannel well just because they have the basic capabilities in place.
That's where Ruderkirk's maturity model really opened my eyes. Most retailers are stuck in what he calls the ramping up or channel integration phases. They've moved beyond the old days where online and offline were completely separate worlds, but they're still thinking tactically rather than strategically. They've got click and collect and ship from store up and running, but they're not using these capabilities to actually influence customer behavior in profitable directions.
And I bet there are still those internal politics at play. The digital teams and physical store teams operating in silos, maybe even competing with each other for credit and resources. That kind of organizational friction has to undermine any attempt at real optimization.
You've hit on something crucial there. Ruderkirk found that many retailers are dealing with what he calls tribal conflicts between their digital and physical teams. You'll have situations where the online team gets credit for click and collect orders, even though the store is doing all the actual fulfillment work. These misaligned incentives create all sorts of problems down the line.
Speaking of problems, I imagine that shows up in fulfillment performance. If store teams don't have skin in the game for online orders, they're probably not prioritizing them the way they should.
That's precisely what the research revealed, and the numbers are pretty startling. Ship from store programs are seeing 7 to 10% order cancellation rates, often simply because stores aren't motivated to fulfill online orders. When there's no financial incentive for store teams, they'll prioritize walk-in customers and just cancel the digital orders to avoid the extra work.
That's a massive problem because those cancellations don't just hurt that one transaction. they're actively damaging long term customer relationships. You're essentially teaching customers that they can't rely on your omnichannel promises, which undermines the whole value proposition.
Right. And what's encouraging is that some retailers are getting really smart about solving this. Companies like Adidas have moved to reward based routing, where they send orders to stores that have proven track records for fulfillment. They're creating these positive feedback loops where stores that perform well get more orders, which means more revenue opportunities and recognition.
That's a smart way to align incentives. It sounds like the retailers who are succeeding are treating their store networks as strategic assets rather than just sales locations. How does that thinking change their approach to expansion and store formats?
This is where Ruderkirk's research gets really interesting around the halo effect. For years, we've heard this conventional wisdom about how opening physical stores automatically boosts online sales in the surrounding area. But his data shows that's not universally true. It depends heavily on brand awareness and market maturity.
This is where Ruderkirk's research gets really interesting around the halo effect. For years, we've heard this conventional wisdom about how opening physical stores automatically boosts online sales in the surrounding area. But his data shows that's not universally true. It depends heavily on brand awareness and market maturity.
That's what he found when studying Coolblue in the Netherlands, where they already had 90% brand awareness. New stores mostly cannibalized online sales rather than growing the total pie. But when you look at Warby Parker's expansion in the US, they saw strong halo effects because their stores were building brand awareness and trust through physical presence. The context matters enormously.
So the halo effect is real, but it's contextual. That has huge implications for how established retailers think about expansion strategy, whether they should be entering new markets or densifying existing ones, and it probably changes how they think about store formats too.
That's where the smaller format strategy becomes really compelling. Instead of just opening traditional flagship stores, retailers are getting strategic about different store types that serve different purposes in the customer journey. Ruderkirk identifies two main approaches that are working well.
I've been seeing more of these smaller concept stores popping up in urban areas, but I wasn't sure if it was just about real estate costs or if there was deeper strategy involved.
It's much deeper than cost savings. The first approach focuses on specific touch points in the customer journey. Think about Nordstrom Local, which does click and collect, tailoring, and returns in compact urban spaces. They're not trying to replicate the full department store experience. They're solving specific customer needs efficiently in high convenience locations.
That makes perfect sense for urban customers who often prioritize convenience over selection. They can browse everything online but need help with the service components that are hard to deliver digitally.
The second approach is what certain department stores are doing with their smaller neighborhood stores. They are offering a curated but complete assortment tailored specifically to local families. It's not just about convenience, it's about relevance. They're using proximity to create more frequent, more personal relationships with customers in that specific community.
And I imagine these smaller stores can be much more agile in terms of what they carry and how they're organized. The flexibility to adapt quickly to local preferences or seasonal changes must be a huge advantage.
Decathlon is the perfect example of that agility in action. They treat their store layouts as completely dynamic, shifting floor space by sport based on the calendar. So in winter, they expand the ski section and contract the cycling area. Their fixtures are designed for this kind of flexibility, which means they can optimize for seasonal demand without being stuck with dead space.
That level of responsiveness seems crucial for smaller formats where every square foot has to work harder. But how do you ensure these compact stores don't feel limiting compared to the flagship experience?
That's where the endless aisle concept becomes critical. Staff need to be trained not just in what's physically in the store, but in how to access the broader inventory through digital tools. The small store becomes a gateway to the entire ecosystem rather than a limitation. It's about expanding possibilities, not constraining them.
It sounds like we're moving toward a world where physical store networks are much more specialized and strategic, rather than trying to be everything to everyone in every location.
That's the key insight from all of this research. The future of omnichannel isn't about removing all friction, it's about removing the right friction while adding strategic guidance. Retailers need to stop thinking about channels as separate entities and start thinking about them as levers in a coordinated system.
And the retailers who figure this out first are going to have a significant competitive advantage because they'll be shaping customer behavior rather than just reacting to whatever customers happen to do.
The research shows that when retailers get this alignment right, when they coordinate their technology, incentives, and physical footprint, they don't just improve operational efficiency, they actually increase customer satisfaction because customers end up in journeys that work better for everyone involved.
It's a complete mindset shift from the customer is always right about how they want to shop to we can help customers discover better ways to shop that benefit everyone.
And that's really the evolution from basic omnichannel to omnichannel optimization. It's not about having more touch points, it's about having smarter touch points that work together strategically. That's all for today's deep dive into the omnichannel revolution. The old playbook of being everywhere at once is giving way to something much more sophisticated: the art of being exactly where you need to be when you need to be there. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the retail landscape. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn at International Association of Department Stores. Go ahead and check out our Substack for more insights and visit our website for additional resources. And if you want to explore the full exclusive that inspired this episode, you'll find it linked right in the episode description. I'm Maya, and I've been here with Sylvan. Until next time, keep evolving or risk going extinct in the retail park.